Sarah begged me not to leave. Her tears didn't stop me until she struck me in rage. Then her message came, "Is she coming after me?" I'm Jake Miller, a nurse working grueling shifts at a hospital in Seattle, Washington. My life revolves around long hours, endless charts, and the kind of stress that clings to you like damp air. I've always prided myself on pushing through, on keeping things together. But coming home to my girlfriend, Sarah Thompson, is like walking into a wall of despair. She dropped out of college 2 years ago, and since then, she's become a shadow of who she used to be. She doesn't work, doesn't clean, doesn't even try. She just exists, leeching off me, while I'm out there breaking my back to keep us afloat. Yesterday was the breaking point. I dragged myself home at 6 p.m. after a 12-hour shift, my scrubs still smelling of antiseptic. My feet ached, my head pounded, and all I wanted was a hot meal and a moment of peace. Instead, I found Sarah sprawled in bed, surrounded by half-eaten takeout boxes from some fast food joint on Aurora Avenue. The room reeked of stale fries and unwashed sheets. She hadn't showered, hadn't brushed her teeth. She barely looked up from her phone, scrolling mindlessly through TikTok. I stood there, staring, my blood boiling. I work 50, sometimes 60 hours a week, and this is what I come home to? I lost it. My voice cracked as I yelled, "Sarah, you can't live like this." I told her she needed to get a job, do something, anything, to show she cared about herself or us. Her eyes narrowed, and before I knew it, she was up, screaming back. She threw a plastic cup at me, missing my head by inches. It hit the wall with a pathetic thud. I told her I was done, that I wanted out of this relationship. My words hung in the air, heavy and final. But then she collapsed onto the bed, sobbing, saying she had no one else, nowhere to go. "If you leave me, Jake, I'll have nothing," she whispered, her voice breaking. Guilt twisted in my gut like a knife. I stood there, frozen, my resolve crumbling under her tears. I didn't walk away that night. I couldn't. She begged me to stay, clinging to my arm, her nails digging into my skin. She said she'd change, that she'd try harder. I wanted to believe her, but deep down, I knew better. I've been carrying her for years, paying the $2,000 rent on our Capitol Hill apartment, covering her food, her phone, everything. I'm 28, and I'm tired. Tired of being her crutch, tired of her excuses. But her desperation, her tears, they got to me. I told her we'd talk more tomorrow. As I left the room, I heard her sobbing softly, and it felt like a weight pressing down on my chest. I don't know how much longer I can do this. That night, I didn't sleep. Sarah's sobs echoed through the thin walls of our Capitol Hill apartment, each one like a nail in my resolve. I sat on the couch, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I wanted out, but her words clung to me. No one else. Nowhere to go. By morning, my anger had dulled, replaced by a gnawing dread. I went to work at the hospital, my scrubs feeling heavier than usual. The 12-hour shift was brutal, but it was a distraction from the mess waiting at home. When I got back, Sarah was awake, sitting cross-legged on the bed, her eyes red and puffy. She looked at me, desperate, and promised to change. I told her I couldn't do this anymore, that I needed to be free. Her face crumpled, and before I could react, she bolted to the kitchen. My heart stopped when I saw her grab a pair of scissors from the drawer. She held them to her wrist, her hands shaking, screaming, "If you leave, I'll end it, Jake." I froze, my throat tight. I didn't dare call her bluff. The air felt thick, like it was suffocating me. I backed down, my voice low, saying I'd give her 1 month to show me she could change, get a job, find a hobby, anything. She nodded, tears streaming down her face, and put the scissors down. I felt sick, trapped. Over the next week, Sarah tried. She applied for jobs on Indeed, showing me her phone screen with applications for barista gigs at Starbucks on Pike Street and cashier roles at a local grocery store. She even bought a used Canon camera for $300 from a thrift shop, saying she wanted to try photography. We went to Gasworks Park one evening, her snapping photos of the Seattle skyline, asking me to pose by the rusty sculptures. I forced a smile, but inside, I felt nothing. Her enthusiasm seemed frantic, like she was performing for me. My coworkers, Lisa and Megan, warned me at the hospital. "She's love-bombing you, Jake," Lisa said, her voice sharp over coffee in the break room. "She'll crash, and you'll be stuck cleaning up the mess." I brushed it off, but their words stuck. I started sleeping on the couch, the lumpy cushions a small price for distance. Sarah begged me to come back to bed, but I couldn't. Her constant need for reassurance was suffocating. Every day she'd ask, "Are you mad at me? Do you still love me?" I'd mumble something vague, my patience thinning. One night, after a 14-hour shift, I came home to find her waiting, camera in hand, begging to go shoot photos at Pike Place Market. I snapped, "Sarah, I'm exhausted. I can't keep doing this." She flinched, her eyes welling up, but didn't push. Instead, she retreated to the bedroom, leaving me alone in the dark living room. I felt like I was drowning. I'd given her a month, but each day felt like a countdown to another explosion. My coworkers noticed I was off, my face drawn, my focus slipping. Megan pulled me aside, her voice gentle but firm. "You need to get out, Jake. This isn't healthy." I knew she was right, but Sarah's desperation clung to me like damp Seattle rain. I wasn't sure I could walk away without breaking her completely. The next 2 weeks were a tightrope walk. Sarah threw herself into her new hobbies, snapping photos around Seattle's Fremont Troll and Alki Beach, her Canon clicking like it was her lifeline. She'd show me her shots, shots, her eyes searching mine for approval. I'd nod, mutter something about the lighting, but my heart wasn't in it. Her energy felt forced, like she was trying to glue us back together with every click of the shutter. I kept my promise, tagging along to her photo outings, but my silence spoke louder than my words. I was drained, my shifts at the hospital stretching longer, the weight of her expectations crushing me. One Friday, after a brutal 14-hour shift, I went out with Lisa and Megan. We grabbed burgers at Dick's Drive-In, the neon lights buzzing as we laughed over fries. For the first time in weeks, I felt lighter, like I could breathe. I had a couple of beers, nothing heavy, but enough to loosen the knot in my chest. I got home late, around 10 p.m., the apartment dark except for a single lamp in the living room. Sarah sat on the couch, her knees pulled to her chest, staring at me like I'd betrayed her. Her voice was low, sharp. "Where were you, Jake?" I told her I was with friends, keeping it vague. Her eyes narrowed. "Those girls from work? You're always with them." I sighed. Too tired for this. "We got food, Sarah. That's it." The air turned heavy. She stood, her hands clenched, and asked if I'd been drinking. I admitted I had, just a beer. Her face twisted, and she launched into me. "You're out having fun while I'm trying to fix us. Do you even care?" I tried to stay calm, explaining I was just unwinding, but she wasn't hearing it. Her voice rose, cracking with desperation. "I'm doing everything you asked, Jake. I got a job, I'm trying photography, but you're checked out." I snapped back, my patience gone. "I'm tired, Sarah. I can't keep pretending this is working." Her eyes flashed with something dark, and before I could react, she lunged at me. Her hand struck my face, a sharp sting across my cheek. I stumbled back, shocked, my heart pounding. The room spun. Sarah froze, her hand covering her mouth, panic replacing her rage. "Jake, I'm sorry, I didn't mean—" I didn't wait for her to finish. I grabbed my keys and left, the door slamming behind me. My cheek burned, but the betrayal hurt worse. I drove aimlessly through Seattle's rainy streets, the Space Needle glowing faintly in the distance. My phone buzzed Sarah's texts, apologies piling up, but I ignored them. I ended up at the hospital calling Megan. She met me in the ER waiting room, her face tight with worry. "Jake, what happened?" I told her everything, my voice shaking. She insisted I get checked out. The doctor confirmed it was just a bruise, no real damage, but his words lingered. "You need to think about what this means for you." I sat there, the fluorescent lights humming, feeling like I'd hit rock bottom. I couldn't go back home that night. I crashed at Megan's place, her spare room a quiet refuge. The next morning, I texted Sarah. My words were cold, final. "This is over. I'm not pressing charges, but we're done. You have 2 months to figure things out." I felt a strange calm, like a weight had lifted. I'd given her chances, but that slap was the line I couldn't cross. I was ready to walk away, no matter how much it hurt. The days after the fight were a blur. I stayed at Megan's for a night, then went back to the apartment, sleeping on the couch like it was my new home. Sarah kept her distance, her bedroom door closed most of the time. The silence between us was deafening, broken only by the hum of the fridge or the occasional creak of the floorboards. I felt free, but hollow, like I'd won a battle but lost something bigger. Work kept me sane, the hospital's chaos a strange comfort. But then, like a cruel twist, I got sick, really sick. It started as a cough, nothing major, just a tickle in my throat. I ignored it, popping cough drops between shifts. But one morning, it hit me like a freight train. My chest felt tight, every breath a struggle. I went to the hospital, and the diagnosis came fast. Pneumonia. The doctor ordered 2 weeks off work, handed me an inhaler, and told me to rest. Rest? I could barely move. I dragged myself back to the apartment, collapsing on the couch, my lungs burning with every cough. I felt like half a person, wheezing through the day, sleeping 14 hours straight. Sarah noticed. She'd been working part-time at a Safeway in Ballard, coming home with grocery bags and stories about rude customers. At first, she stayed away, probably scared I'd lash out. But on the 3rd day, she knocked softly on the living room doorframe. "Jake, you okay?" Her voice was quiet, cautious. I mumbled that I was fine, but I wasn't. I couldn't even get up to grab water. She didn't push, just left a glass on the coffee table and disappeared. The next day, she brought me soup, homemade, not from a can. It was simple chicken noodle, steaming in a chipped bowl, but it hit me hard. I hadn't eaten a real meal in days, surviving on crackers and Gatorade. She started checking on me more, asking if I needed anything, her eyes soft with worry. I hated how it felt her caring for me, like we were still something. I told her I didn't need her help, but she ignored me, bringing blankets, refilling my water, even cooking dinner. One night, too weak to argue, I let her sit with me. She talked about her job, how her manager was a jerk, how she'd snapped a photo of a sunset over Puget Sound that she wanted to show me. I listened, my head foggy, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel angry. Her voice was familiar, like a song I used to love but had forgotten. By the 2nd week, I was stronger, sitting up more, coughing less. Sarah started lingering after bringing me food. We'd watch old sitcoms on the TV, laughing at dumb jokes. One night, she opened up, her voice low. "I know I messed up, Jake. I'm trying to be better." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to believe her, but the sting of her hand across my face lingered. We talked more, about small things, her photos, my hospital stories. It felt like the old days, when we were friends, before everything got so heavy. But I kept my guard up. I'd made my decision. I wasn't going back, no matter how much her kindness pulled at me. Still, those moments, her sitting there, the TV glowing made me question if I was doing the right thing. My heart was a mess, torn between gratitude and the need to break free. As September loomed, the end of my lease felt like a ticking clock. I'd been back at work, my lungs still weak but healing, the inhaler a constant in my pocket. Sarah and I had settled into a strange routine. She'd come home from her part-time job at Safeway, chatting about her day, her voice lighter than before. I'd listen, nod, even smile sometimes, but the barrier between us was solid. Those quiet moments we shared during my illness, watching TV, talking about nothing, they were real, but they weren't enough. I knew I had to leave. Staying in that Capitol Hill apartment, surrounded by memories of fights and broken promises, was killing me. I spent nights scrolling through apartment listings in Portland, Oregon. A fresh start, a new city, a chance to breathe without Sarah's shadow. The decision felt right, but heavy. I didn't hate her. Part of me still cared, remembered the girl who used to laugh with me over coffee at school. But that girl was gone, buried under years of excuses and desperation. I couldn't save her, and I was done trying to save us. The last Saturday of the month, I sat her down in the living room. The air was thick, the Seattle rain drumming against the windows. I kept my voice steady, my hands clasped tight. "Sarah, I'm leaving. The lease is up, and I'm moving to Portland." Her face froze, her eyes wide, like I'd pulled the ground from under her. "I need to focus on myself," I continued. "This isn't working, and it hasn't for a long time." She started crying, soft at first, then louder, her hands gripping the couch. "Jake, please," she begged. "We've been better, haven't we? I'm trying so hard." Her voice broke, and it cut me deep, but I held firm. Then it exploded. She stood, her tears turning to anger. "You're abandoning me," she screamed. "After everything, you're just throwing us away." I tried to explain, my voice calm but shaking inside. "I'm not abandoning you, Sarah. I'm saving myself." But she wasn't listening. Her face twisted, and she lunged at me, her hand swinging. I ducked this time, my heart racing, the memory of her last strike burning in my mind. She froze, horrified, her hands trembling. "I'm sorry, Jake. I didn't mean..." I cut her off, my voice cold. "Don't. Just don't." I grabbed my jacket and walked out, the rain soaking me as I headed to my car. I drove to Lisa's place, my hands tight on the wheel. She didn't ask questions, just handed me a coffee and let me sit in silence. The next day, I went back to pack. Sarah was there, quiet, her eyes red. I told her she could stay until she found a place, that I'd pay one last month's rent, $2,000, to give her time. She nodded, defeated, and didn't fight me. I packed my things, clothes, books, a few photos, and left. The door clicked shut behind me, and I felt a rush of relief mixed with guilt. I didn't look back. In Portland, I found a small apartment near the Pearl District. The city felt alive, new, like a blank page. I started work at a hospital there, the pace familiar but the air cleaner somehow. I thought about Sarah sometimes, wondering if she was okay, if she kept up with her photography or her job, but I didn't reach out. I'd spent years carrying her weight, and now I was finally free. It cost me everything: my trust, my peace, a piece of my heart, but standing in my new place, the Willamette River sparkling outside, I knew I'd made the right choice. I was done living for someone else.